Good afternoon, morning, evening, or night, everybody, depending on where in the world and why in the world you are watching or listening to this fine podcast production. My name is Bill Woodcock,
I'm Steve Hunt.
and you are watching or listening to another edition of But Before We Go. And for today's extra special episode, we have the first guest to guest commentate on But Before We Go. She is the host of the wonderful From Bench to Boardroom podcast for anybody out there who's a scientist or who knows a scientist and are interested in understanding the opportunities that women have to indeed move from the bench to boardroom in the world of science. She's also a very awesome colleague of mine at where we work, a government agency that shall remain nameless. She is Dr. Cynthia Steel. Cynthia, welcome to this program.
I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here with you guys and be your first guest. It's an honor.
She is quite sincere. See, normally I would say she is a very skilled fibber, but instead I'm saying she is quite sincere and she knows quality programming when she sees it. Doesn't she, Steve?
Well, Bill, I can't blame the good doctor because, quite frankly, when we were talking about the initial round of episodes that we wanted to do and we were throwing out different ideas, when this one came up, I got excited. I got totally geeked out. And hopefully, we will take the audience on a trip to a land and a time long ago when Saturday mornings became that much cooler because of this subject matter.
Absolutely. And as we are talking about quality programming, that brings us to the topic of today's podcast, the 1970s slash 1980s short video phenomenon that was on ABC television, Schoolhouse Rock. Those of you who may remember only a few episodes of Schoolhouse Rock, perhaps the tunes are going in your head right now. Perhaps those tunes should replace the tunes that are in your head anyway. But there were 46 episodes of Schoolhouse Rock, each with its own unique theme in the areas of English language, mathematics, numbers, um, English usage, government. And I'm not sure if I left anything out, but I think I kind of hit them all.
They did an
I would
economics
say,
series too, Bill.
Yeah.
which ones?
They did economics.
They did do ones on economics. That is correct. So I think the ones that people mostly remember are Conjunction Junction, What's Your Function, sung by Merv Griffin band leader Jack Sheldon, God rest his soul, or I'm Just a Bill, Yes, I'm Only a Bill, also sung by the inimitable Jack Sheldon. So these videos were lessons about the subject matter put to music in a form of a catchy tune, and then also explained through the use of animation. Cynthia, were those your most memorable episodes? And what did Schoolhouse Rock mean to you as you were a youngster growing up?
Yes. So I loved Schoolhouse Rock because it always fell right at the perfect time slot between two of my favorite Saturday morning cartoons. I believe Bugs Bunny and Tweety was one of them at least. And they were just perfect little 3-minute blips,
Mhm.
something to entertain you, something different from commercials. My sister kind of introduced them to me because I think she was born right around the time that Schoolhouse Rock became popular. So she grew up listening to them, and then I started listening to them. And when I was actually in eighth grade, I was thinking about this when I learned about the topic. When I was in eighth grade, towards the end of the year, you know how a lot of eighth grade teachers have to come up with something to do to educate and do something with their kids because we're all just like dying to graduate. My English teacher played us all the Schoolhouse Rocks for Grammar Rock. So those are the ones that I remember the most. Obviously, Conjunction Junction. My husband has been singing "Lolly Lolly Lolly, get your adverbs here" all
Ooh.
week. That's a good one. I love um, the story of Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla about pronouns and the noun song. I'm a huge fan of the noun song. Do you guys remember that one?
Yep.
Everything you can do. Yes, I love that one. For science, I was a fan of, this won't surprise you at all, Bill, the telegraph line about the nervous system and Interplanet Janet. I think those are my favorites.
Yeah, Billy.
I muted myself because I was looking up good old Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla. Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla. You know
A,
what's funny is that
a
how
very proper
catchy
noun.
some of these tunes are. And
Yes.
then when you see the videos again, it's like, oh my God, yes, I remember that.
I
Steve,
had
what do you got?
that tune. Yeah, I love it.
Um, well, actually, it's funny, and I agree with Cynthia. The magic of this was, especially as a kid, uh, Saturday morning, the networks themselves did a really good job of giving you stuff in between shows. CBS had In the News and things like that, but ABC definitely ruled. And Cynthia's absolutely right. It was a 3 minute clip, so it wasn't too long, so that you got bored with it. It was a catchy tune, and you found yourself learning something because those tunes got in your bloodstream. And oh, by the way, the next thing you know, you're doing multiplication. You're remembering. I can tell you as a kid, whether it was a math test or maybe a history lesson, if it was about the revolution, all of a sudden that tune got in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, that. Um, you didn't think it got there, but it got there, and I loved them. I am like a lot of people. My favorite is Conjunction Junction. That the song is great. The way it's the flow of it. The guy, the guy gets bigger and bigger sitting on the bench. I mean, it's just there's just something about that thing that just draws you in and keeps you there. But it was interesting. When I looked this up and I pulled this up here so I could have it in front of me. It's really broken up into blocks of math, science, English, and history. So as I'm looking through these, my favorite math one was Ready or Not, Here I Come. Only because of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35,
Yes.
45. That song just gets in your head and you find yourself bopping, looking like a total idiot. And 100, Ready or Not, Here I Come. I mean, it's just awesome. So that was my math one. My obviously Conjunction Junction is my English one. My history one is I'm Just a Bill. I mean, that's just such a cool one. Although I will say the preamble was kind of cool. It, how many people can recite the preamble to the Constitution and they do it in the form of a tune? Because we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, you just go to ordain and establish this. I'm sorry, I'm going to get lost in this thing, Bill. You got to just cut my ass off. So,
Oh,
and
it
then,
would be my pleasure.
okay, and then as far as science, electricity.
Yes,
Electricity was another one that was very good.
electricity.
So breaking them up into subject matter, those are my four favorites. But there are obviously a bunch of ones that are awesome. I can start rattling them off, but I'll turn it back over to you, Bill, because we only have X amount of time here.
So I'm going to go with for numbers. I'm going to go with 3. It's a magic number
Ah,
because that was a very cool number. Also, my great grandmother's favorite number was 3 for some reason. So whenever she would hear it, it'd be like, "Oh, it's the 3 song." And then also because I like cats, number 9
hmm,
with the big fat cat playing pool, doing
Mm.
all sorts of horrible things to the poor little mouse.
naughty
But
number 9.
then, yeah, so there was that. Um, I'm Just a Bill was good. Also, the one about the American Revolution was awesome. Um, what else was and also the one on suffrage, suffering until
Mm.
suffrage. That was very good. The words one, the English language one, I think I have to go with Cynthia's husband. I think I'm going lolly lolly lolly. It's your adverbs here. Damn it. I mean, there was just,
Indubitably.
and then that leads to
Ah,
interjections, for excitement or emotion, and that's another thing. I mean, they were so catchy. I
Yep.
mean, were you guys along with me? Were we willing to just sit through a crap show on ABC so that we would see what Schoolhouse Rock would come on next? Because I was.
Hmm. Oh, you always stayed to the end.
Yeah.
You always stayed to the end. You never got up to get a snack until Schoolhouse Rock was over.
Mm. Either that, or if you knew it was a show you weren't into, Schoolhouse Rock was pretty regular in terms of when it came on. So if it hit like 25 after the hour, give or take, you knew that if you didn't want to watch the show that was on, to Cynthia's point, you could pop in for the end of it, get through that for the next Schoolhouse Rock. So you could play a little strategy there if it was a show you weren't into because you knew when Schoolhouse Rock dropped.
You knew when it dropped.
That's right.
And once in a while there would be some new ones. I mean,
Mhm.
they put out like about 11 or 12 of these a season, and then they put them in rotation. They never really went away. And then
Nope.
I also forgot to list my science one. My science one would be the one about the skeleton, them
Mm.
them
Oh,
not so
not so
dry
dry
bones.
bones. That was a good one too.
Yeah, that was also quite good. Um, Thinking about the pantheon of Schoolhouse Rock, Steve, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Is there a topic you wish would have been a Schoolhouse Rock episode, or perhaps an entire field of endeavor, something educational? I mean,
You
because of
know,
course Schoolhouse Rock was educational.
I really can't think of anything. I don't think they ever, at least not in the '70s, set ever got into like foreign languages. That might have been kind of cool. Um, just so you got a feel for French or Spanish or Chinese or something like that. That would have been kind of cool if they. And I don't know if they had an international version of it, but I think it would have been cool to have an American version that somehow taught you even basic phrases or numbers or things of that nature of a foreign language. That would be kind of cool.
I think that's a
Cynthia?
great idea, Steve. I love that idea because as I was reading about Schoolhouse Rock, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but it seems like the person who created the entire phenomenon did it because his son was having difficulty memorizing his multiplication tables.
Right.
But the kid could get earworms in his head and he could sing along to the Rolling Stones, but he couldn't do his multiplication table, so he put two
Oh,
and two together. And I love that idea because even as a kid, I was kind of the same way. I could memorize things to music, and I could play music from memory pretty easily, but when it came to just memorizing facts, that was very, very difficult. And in a lot of ways it still is. So I love the idea of using that to teach foreign languages, just a couple of very basic phrases
mhm.
in whatever country you're in. I think that's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah, it would certainly beat the heck out of Dora the Explorer. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so I will go along with foreign language was an opportunity missed with Schoolhouse Rock. Just some basic hi, hello, hello, goodbye, numbers, colors, something could have been in there. In terms of civics, the names of the presidents,
Hmm.
they have the preamble to the Constitution, but and the one about the American Revolution was the shot heard them around the world.
Yes.
And the shot heard around the world was the start of the revolution. And that's actually quite in depth.
Yeah. I didn't know if you were going there
That one
or
was
more.
actually quite good. And then I
Yeah.
guess maybe if I had like other little bones to knit or picks to knit, were like, maybe things like something about like the space program or
Hmm.
something that was contemporaneous to that time, or how cool it was to land on the moon. But you really can't argue with anything that they picked. And then, because remember also, Schoolhouse Rock, I don't know if it was the same producer, but remember what would be on in the afternoons. You would have friggin' Time for Timer,
Hmm.
who then taught you how to eat healthy. with your cheese, your wagon wheels, your importance of eating your vegetables. You don't need to eat super sugary popsicles. You can just freeze orange juice and stick a toothpick through it, and now you have a yummy icy treat for when you get home from school. And also told you about the importance of exercise in your body. Steve, you're looking at me blank.
I
Now
have
I know you remember time for timer.
I do not.
You never hankered for a slab, a slice, a chunk of, hankered for a hunk of cheese?
Oh, is that where that comes from? Because I remember
Yes,
that.
damn it.
I remember that tune, but I just don't remember the rest of it. I just don't remember if there was anything else to it beyond that.
Bill, can I tell you, my sister just sent me that cartoon through Instagram like maybe 3 days ago. She used to sing that to me all the time, and I had no idea what it was, but I thought it was so funny.
Pretty sure I'm addicted to cheese in this very day for that very reason. Because cheese is a damn good snack. And you
Well,
know who taught me that? Timer.
they do touch a little bit on diet and exercise in the Schoolhouse Rock circulation song.
Oh,
Hmm.
Because
that's a good
remember,
point.
they have the sandwich, and they break it down. Here's your meat, here's your cheese, your lettuce, your mayo, and that's your source of carbohydrates, protein, fats, and I think they call it cellulose. And they talk about the importance of exercise, and that's going to cause your circulatory system to kick in a little bit more. And it shows a woman kind of like out of breath, and it shows the blood cells moving a little bit faster. So they snuck the message in a little bit.
Yeah.
I would also add to your list, we all probably had to memorize the 50 states and their
Yep.
state capitals.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been very helpful to song.
Yeah, when I was in grade school, we actually had a song in chorus that was about the 50 states.
Hmm.
And I could actually, I'm not going to try to sing it. Trust me, you don't want me to put that upon you, you good people, or our good audience out there. But we actually did sing a song that took you through the 50 states. And there are times when I'm thinking about the states, I still sing that song from when I was in elementary school. So you're right. It would have been a great song for Schoolhouse Rock. Um, we actually did have that in grade school in chorus class.
All right, so that gets to another question. The most insidious thing that you may not have ever learned had you not learned Schoolhouse Rock. For me, it was multiplication tables.
Hmm.
Because there was no way I was sitting down and looking at a list or a chart when I was 6 and 7 and 8 years old. That just was not going to happen. But if I see those football players run around 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, I'm down. What I mean, and there's no way. I mean, that's how I learned it. And I remember sitting in elementary school going 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Or mean old number 9 with like 9 times 6 is 54. There's 9 times 6 is 54. That little mouse scale. What about you, Steve? What did you think, or maybe there was a thing you didn't like learning in school, and when you saw it on Schoolhouse Rock, it was cool. That's another thing for me is economics, like Tyrannosaurus debt. It was
Mm.
huge. I mean, we learned economics in friggin' seventh grade.
Yeah, mine was English. I was always a math and science nerd as a kid, so the tunes were catchy, but I mean they never hurt, and I was always into history. So I loved those episodes. And of course, did help me memorize the preamble to the Constitution. But for me, it was English. English was my bugaboo. So some of those, whether you're talking about verb, I'm looking at the titles here. Verb, that's what's happening. A noun, person, place, or thing. I actually did use Schoolhouse Rock to know the difference between a noun and a verb. Conjunctions. I mean, I'm looking through the whole thing. I mean, that was mine. And adverbs, that was one that I just that's adverbs are weird anyway to pick up. It's kind of, I don't know what the hell they are, but certainly lolly lolly helped me out there. Cynthia, what about you?
I feel similar, but also the exact opposite to you, Steve, because I was a fan of the math and science. Multiplication tables were difficult, but I could never really get myself particularly interested in history for some reason. It's just not really my thing. So I enjoyed having the three branches of government set to music and learning about it that way. And Bill on Capitol Hill, and this is how it happens, and the shot heard around the world, and what was it? No More Kings, about
No
the
more
Boston
games.
Tea Party.
Mm-hmm.
All of those. So I appreciate that from an educational perspective. But I'm going to follow up and ask you, gents, what's the favorite thing that Schoolhouse Rock taught you? Because Schoolhouse Rock taught me one of my favorite words, indubitably. And I think I was the only small child running around saying indubitably once I grabbed my family's dictionary off the off the shelf and figured out what it meant.
I still use that word when I anthropomorphize my cat Crush. He looks so regal and splendid as an orange tabby that he just sits there and says, indubitably. But um, I guess I'll bundle this in with also the thing that kind of when I learned about it, I was kind of like, whoa. And there's part of me that still is kind of like, whoa, which is base 12.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the episode about number 12, and they actually came up with, and Steve, this reminds me of that one episode we just recorded, with two symbols to denote letters, numbers that would be 10 or 11 in our parlance, and then 10 would be 12.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I learned about base 12, because if you think about it, the 0 is 12 to the power of 0. I mean, it's 12 times 0, and then the 1 would be 12. So in binary, that would work. So that was very cool. And why was that cool to me? Because it was like a totally different way of thinking. You didn't just have to think in terms of numbers 1 through 10. You think in terms of numbers 1 through 12 or 1 through 56, if that's was what was tickling your fancy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a cool little math thing, but it was also a little bit of like how to think differently, how to think critically,
Mm-hmm.
and how to solve problems unconventionally.
Yeah. Uh, I've mentioned it several times already, but just the fact that I can recite the preamble to the Constitution because of we the people. The other thing I will note is that me and my brothers, in a moment of schoolyard, I grew up with three brothers, and we ribbed each other about everything, and we turned a song called "Hey Little 12 Toes" into "Hey Little Yellow Teeth," and we created our own song about because
Wait a
one of my
minute, what was this? Did you
we
just tell me you bastardized Hey Little 12 Toes?
we
What I
did
just said was my favorite?
we did, and and this is where Schoolhouse
Little
Rock.
yellow teeth something? What did you just say?
It was called. We would tease each other if somebody forgot to brush their teeth. The song was "Hey Little Yellow Teeth, I know your breath stinks because you never brush your yellow teeth." And then there's the rest of the song that I will not even get into here because it's pretty damn disgusting. But we actually bastardized Schoolhouse Rock as a way to tease each other. And
I
that
think you just hurt Bill.
I'm sorry, Bill, but it just
You
it
you
just came
you
to my
pissed me
mind.
off.
I was
Why?
singing
Why?
that,
What's
and Billy
wrong with
Friendship
you?
came up. I'm sorry.
What's wrong with you? You didn't appreciate My Little 12 Toes? You didn't like the on and the deca, the little X and the little epsilon characters, and then 10 really meant 12? Did that blow your mind so much that you just decided to mock it
No, we
with
loved
a
it.
song about yellow teeth? Which, incidentally, I think Timer had something about dentistry. But you wouldn't know that because you never saw damn Time for Timer.
Well, you know what, Bill? We were like the original rappers. We were ahead of our time. We were sampling,
Oh,
is what we did.
you were what?
We were ahead of Diddy and Dre and Drake and all these guys sampling records. We were sampling Schoolhouse Rock, baby.
That's
That's
a
how.
I'm
pretty
always
good
still
answer.
ahead of Diddy. Let me just say that.
Well, too soon. Okay.
That's a pretty good answer, Steve. That's a good answer.
We're sampling Schoolhouse Rock. Now, you know what this is going to cause me to do? This is going to cause me to, again, go to the YouTube and try to find where Schoolhouse Rock has been sampled.
So actually, two things about that. One, there is a CD that I think someone gave me for my 14th birthday or my 13th birthday or something like that, where popular bands actually remade
Oh
some of
my.
the Schoolhouse Rock songs. So, oh my gosh, I have to look it up, but I remember, I I remember, Three is a Magic Number was on there. You can look it up. It was really funny. Oh wait, I have it right here. Yeah, Skilo does the Tale of Mr. Morton,
Oh
which
boy.
I thought was really funny.
Oh.
My Hero Zero was done by the Lemonheads. Blind Melon did Three is a Magic Number. That's right.
Oh, I've got to find this
So
thing.
yeah,
I am loving the
Schoolhouse
thought of this. I'm
Schoolhouse
loving
Rock
the thought
rocks.
of this. Whoa. Where was
Mhm.
that available, Cynthia?
That's Apple Music, but I'm sure it's available elsewhere. No, I had the physical CD that someone gave me for my birthday, and I was so excited about it. But I will take your yellow teeth and I will raise you. When I was in college, I took inorganic chemistry, like most of us bio majors had to do our freshman year. We took inorganic chemistry, and I took the noun song and I parodied it to be about the periodic table of elements.
Oh my.
And I had a whole thing about all the different families, and um I don't remember the lyrics now. It's been a very, very long time. But yeah, this chart's a special kind of thing. And
Oh,
I don't remember anymore, but it was all about the periodic table, and I did it for extra credit in my inorganic chemistry class. I think my teacher liked it.
That's a, that
Schoolhouse Rock was
that's
everywhere.
awesome. And see, that's actually a productive use, not to adapt the tune to create an insult.
It just shows you the
I
influence of
mean,
Schoolhouse Rock. You could use it to inspire everything.
that is to me,
Absolutely.
that's the equivalent of gassing up your gas can in order to bring it back home and fill up the lawnmower. And instead, you stick a rag in it, light it, and throw it through a store window.
Sorry.
That was that's
Wow.
just evil.
Sorry. We were
That was
four
much. That was a lot, Steve.
we were four boys.
I'm a little, I'm a little verklempt.
We were four boys 5.5 years apart. What the hell do you expect?
All right, all right. Well, let's get off of that. Let's leave that topic and let's
Phil
talk
Phil will
more
bring it up
about
with his
this
therapist
whole
later.
contemporary Schoolhouse Rock theme thing. I mean, who would be doing Schoolhouse Rock now? I think Eddie Vedder with "I'm Just a Bill." I think Chris Stapleton with "The Shot Heard Round the World." I think we have to have like Suzanne Vega sing something like, oh my God, what would be a good song for Suzanne Vega? Oh, I
Interject.
just had one. It would be like Samson's it's Samson
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
7 foot Samson. You know, three is a magic number. I mean, that could be like Harry Connick Jr.
You have
Hey,
to, yeah.
Phil? No, go ahead, Cynthia.
I was gonna say there's absolutely nothing, as we say in our house, there's nothing that Dave Grohl can't do. So you got to give Dave
Yeah.
Grohl something.
Yes.
Hey, girl's got to do some serious ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got to do a number of them.
Hey, I once heard the Foo Fighters. There's a whole thing behind it. I won't get into the story, but they were doing the Bee Gees once. I saw a clip of that. Grohl can do everything.
Yes. He did Copacabana. I saw it on Instagram. He's up there in a little salsa outfit and everything. I mean, there's nothing Dave Grohl can't do. So I mean, I would actually just give the assignment to him and let him run
And
with
just
it.
let him do the
That
whole thing. Him take care of all 46 of them. Just do it.
Yeah, why
Maybe
not?
bring in a guest artist or two. He does do a damn good cover of Baker Street. That's better than the original. God rest your soul, Jerry Rafferty.
Yeah, that's true. Have the Foo Fighters be that kind of the backup house band and just bring people in to do different songs.
I love that.
That would be awesome. I
Oh,
would I would buy that.
oh, Suzanne Vega could unpack your adjectives. That was the one I had in mind.
Oh,
Or like Lisa Loeb. She needs work.
Sheryl Crow doing interjections.
Yeah.
oh,
There
Lisa
would be
Loeb.
some energy there. I love that.
Okay, I'm just gonna say Lisa Loeb and all the other brunettes with glasses wrote like the anthems of my time in high school. Well, you know what I mean. Like your Natalie Merchants, your your Lisa Loebs, a little bit of Sheryl Crow in there, all of the brunettes with glasses. Those were my fellow drama nerds, and I definitely sang along to all of those songs.
The Lilith.
Alanis didn't have glasses.
No, Atlantis. Okay, I enjoy Atlantis a little bit more in adulthood, but that's true. There was one breakup anthem that we all sang at the top of our lungs. Even when we weren't that mad at the other guy, we just had to sing it anyway.
Indeed. What do we want to say about Schoolhouse Rock and just how
Mm.
friggin' awesome it was that hasn't been said? We've heard it every which way but loose. Or have we?
I would say, Bill, just like we had an earlier episode talking about cartoons and how they just don't make them like they used to. Schoolhouse Rock falls right in that mode. I mean, obviously, having raising kids. My first was born in 04, second was born in 08. So we went through all the educational stuff in the 2000s and 2010s, and I would sit there watching this stuff, and I'm like, and eventually I went out and I got one of these. This is the full set of Schoolhouse Rock on DVD for my kids. And it was because I was watching all this stuff. I'm like, this is horrible. Let's go back to the old school. And you know what? My kids loved it. So
it's interesting that you said that because I was gonna say, well, wouldn't it be great if there was Schoolhouse Rock today? But I mean, when that episode where we talked about like Archie Bunker, George Jefferson, all those characters, would there be anything in Schoolhouse Rock that for some reason would be taboo and people don't want to touch it? How do you not want to touch conjunction junction or the multiplication tables or the types of speech?
I think of a certain pronoun song that might make certain people in the South very angry, but that's
Oh,
just
heavens to Betsy, yeah. Yeah,
maybe,
pronouns
yeah.
might give people some problems. And my God, if they ever did one on the Civil War,
Oh
which
dear.
they never did, thank God.
It would be interesting if they did it now to teach people about climate change or electric vehicles or wind power, solar power, things like that. I would listen to those.
It would, but it would make people angry.
They would. Oh yeah, well, I think at this point it's really difficult to find anything that truly unites everybody, except for maybe Conjunction Junction. That might be our final. That may be our only hope.
Looking up words and phrases and clauses. They're going to get you there if you're very careful.
Yeah, I have never understood that. Why would you have to be very careful?
And what
on
would
that track?
exactly the implications be? Like, how could you be careless with a conjunction? Like, how could you be like, oh, I
Run on
can say but
sentences.
here, but I'm not
Run
going
on
to. I'm just going to
sentences,
put
Bill.
a comma instead.
Nope. Too many conjunctions means you have a run-on sentence. That's why you have to be careful. I just answered my own
Ooh.
question.
But then, Cynthia, at the end of the episode, the little conjunction junction dude is just walking on an endless freight train of looking up words and phrases and clauses. Does that not indeed encourage the runoff sentence?
It really
Or
does,
are we
actually.
getting too existential?
We might
Are
be
getting
getting
to Jean-Paul Sartre.
Who?
Sartre. Jean-Paul Sartre.
Okay.
He's a French philosopher, Steve.
That's some existential stuff, bro.
I'm not good for being existential. What am I good for?
Hooking up phrases and making them function.
I am.
Now, years ago, and I think they still do it, Science Magazine started a competition where they would ask graduate students to dance their PhD or like dance their dissertation. This is a riot because what these people do, they figure out a way to show like this is what, this is the behavioral test that we did, or this is the thing that we taught, people to do, or this is the skill or whatever. And they find ways to like interpretive dance it. I would love to see a competition where create a Schoolhouse Rock song about your dissertation.
Oh
That could
my.
be fun.
Oh my. Oh
That
my.
would be awesome.
Oh, that'd be next level.
And I
But
actually and I
and make it
actually now have
understandable.
an I
Yes.
actually now have an idea for my sophomore junior writing class when I go over the top 20 mess ups that people use
Hmm.
and people do in their writing of playing certain songs out of Conjunction Junction,
Yeah.
which remind or out of Schoolhouse Rock, which reminds me, like in today's language and how it gets butchered, like a whole thing about where to put the apostrophe or two and two, whole and whole with the W, without the W,
There,
there,
and there.
there. That
Mhm.
would, eh?
Can we have a song for the noble semicolon?
Ah.
Yes,
Ah.
we can.
I agree, Bill. The semicolon has been overlooked long enough.
Yes. Somewhere out there, the
The
semicolon is hanging out with Pluto.
Yes.
Oh
Both.
my God, the solar system. Why was there never one on the solar
There
system?
was. It was Interplanet Janet. She's a
Yeah.
galaxy
Oh, that's
girl.
right, it
Solar
was.
system
Yeah.
is from a future world.
Pluto was a planet in this one.
And he was in it. Yes, he
Yes.
was. Never forget Pluto.
Yep.
Planet, damn it. Steve, as we wrap up, what do you have to bring the population?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Uh, you know, I got nothing. Schoolhouse Rock, baby. It was, there are some things with in my childhood that just land, and we've talked about some of them, but some land harder than others. And Schoolhouse Rock was just, again, as we said, if it was a good show, it was like, okay, the good show's over, time for Schoolhouse Rock. If it was a bad show, it was like you either suffer through the show or you timed your getting away from the TV and hope nobody else took over the TV while you were away from it to get back to watch Schoolhouse Rock. It was ABC had it like that on Saturday mornings, and that's what got them there was they dropped in Schoolhouse Rocks.
Cynthia?
I mean, I completely agree with that. And I think that this episode for you guys is going to be fantastic because now it's not just about the stuff that you remember from when you were kids, but then the things that you showed your kids and the things and the people in my generation. We also listened to it, and in the mid to late 90s, it kind of had a resurgence. And so I think this is going to be I think this is going to be a really good episode for you guys. And for those of you who are subscribed to this podcast, you can subscribe to mine, Vegetable Boardroom, and anyone from Vegetable Boardroom who's listening, you subscribe to this one.
Which is called
Awesome.
But Before
Love the
We Go.
cross promotion. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
cross promotional.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for being such a great guest, Cynthia. Do come
Yes.
back.
Well, guys, 3 is a magic number, and I think we created a little bit of magic here today.
Love it.
Oh, we got a little thing going.
Love it.
I'm just sitting here, I'm just sitting here, please pick, and colors. Oh my God, they can have colors.
Oh, you're
Um,
right.
Mhm.
but then that would not be in the target market, right? I mean, and then the mind boggles. I mean, would you have had like a Schoolhouse Rock for like preschool kids, or what about
Why not?
teenagers? But I think one thing that I think we're all agreeing on here is that it was cool and that we could use it today.
Yes.
That
We definitely could use just some basic education and some basic things while we're talking about things that unify us. All I know is if I'm around a bunch of people, at least Steve's in my age, you can start going lolly, 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 get your adverbs here, and people are down. You know, they know what that's about because they had their Cheerios or their Frosted Flakes or their
Mhm.
gruel over Schoolhouse Rock between shows.
Or their
And
Pop
they
Tarts, to go back
Yeah,
to your first episode.
some
yes,
of us
ma'am.
were
Pop-
busy applying our icing to our toaster strudel.
that I think we could agree. Dave Grohl needs to get on this thing.
Yes, Dave Grohl, please. Someone find him to
Yeah,
give him this
I
assignment.
get a hold of Grohl.
Excuse me, Mr. Grohl. Big fan. Long time listener, first time correspondent.
That's right.
We need you to resuscitate Schoolhouse Rock, sir.
Let's start a social
It,
media campaign.
There you
it
go.
is your American duty. Cynthia, thank you for joining us today.
So much. That's awesome.
Steve, always a pleasure. And as I love to find segues while we talk about our American patriotic duty, next episode, fun and not so fun, July 4th memories. As we used to watch fireworks as yellow as Steve's siblings' teeth.
Not living that one down. Okay.
It was awesome. I mean, dude, that's a damn creative way to insult your siblings, I have to admit.
You know, we had idle time and we weren't afraid to use it.
You used it productively. I mean, you could have used it, doing all sorts of shit.
No, we did that too. But,
Um,
Do
statute of limitations, brother.
we need someone to deliver that closing line. Steve?
Yes, Steve.
yes, I was
Steve. Wait, wait a minute. Hold on. This needs to go after the tagline. So for Steve and Cynthia, I'm Bill. You have been watching or listening to another edition of But Before We Go.
darn. That's the end.
Bye now.